How was your day yesterday?
Crazy.
Yes.
Look, we have quite a day.
We have a lot to talk about. Obviously, Kanye's appearance here in the TMZ newsroom made a lot of news. Things we didn't expect he would say, for sure. And this left us all sleepless. I didn't sleep last night, kind of processing this. And there's a lot.
2 hours.
There's a lot we want to talk about, just to kind of put this in context and maybe talk a little bit about what happened behind the scenes. But you know, one of the headlines is you have really struck a chord with people by standing up to him.
Yeah, people from all over the place, to be honest with you, reached out. I think there were a lot of people who had wanted to say certain things to Kanye West based on some of the things that they had read on Twitter or heard him say in different interviews that he had been doing. And they hadn't had the opportunity to do it. And I think some of them felt like my sort of challenge.
Voice.
Right, so a lot of people reached out.
So, you know, I want to just kick something off by saying, you know, Kanye West made a statement, obviously, about slavery being a choice. And it's such an ignorant and stupid comment on its face. Kanye is not ignorant and stupid.
To me, that statement is where, that's the crux of where everybody has to decide whether Kanye was having a mental episode or whether Kanye really believes some outrageous things.
I think there's a third option. Let's play this just so you hear a brief bite, so you hear it again. But I think there is a third option on what happened here.
When you hear about slavery for 400 years, that sounds like a choice. Like, you was there for 400 years and it's all of y'all? You know, like, it's like we're mentally in prison.
We're mentally imprisoned. Now, here's what my takeaway from this. We had Candace Owens on yesterday. Candace Owens has been all over the place in the last few months talking about slavery and her position. I'm not embracing this, but I'm just telling you what she's saying, that she is saying that, you know, slavery is something that is important to understand historically, especially for African Americans, but at the same time you have to look forward and not feel victimized, you know, in 2018.
But that's not what he said.
But
Charles, you think that's what he was trying to say?
Yeah, here's what I'm saying. I know this because Kanye told me this days ago, that he connected with Candace Owens because of that statement. And I can tell you, look, I'm just going to now divulge a little more. I had breakfast with Kanye on Sunday. He went from my breakfast to Candace and was telling me about Candace during the breakfast. I haven't even talked to you guys about this, but he went from that breakfast to Candace and was talking about the slavery comment on something that he was really into. So I'm thinking this is what was in his head, that and it certainly didn't come out that way. My problem is, and look, guys, I don't know, and I feel, I'm a white guy, and I feel like I shouldn't even talk about this, but at the same time, it's just so transparently ridiculous that he would say that African Americans could just walk out and escape.
I get it. Look, there's you could also say that maybe he was in the moment, just he spewed something out that wasn't fully formulated. However, he went back later, hours after he was here, and tried to clarify that statement. And he tweeted and he said something like, basically the essence of it was, we had numbers. And if there were more of us, why didn't we rise up and you know, take our freedom?
I think
that to me means that he did think about it.
I think the problem that I have with it, and the problem that a lot of people have with it, is the statement in and of itself shows a fundamental misunderstanding of what American slavery was. It wasn't about one specific choice that you made to stay enslaved. It wasn't about one specific choice that you made to have any sort of lifestyle. It was a multi-front war that was fought against those people. It was psychological, it was physical, it was emotional. It involved religion. It involved a bunch of different things that were used over a course of generations to subjugate people and make them remember, families are ripped apart. Remember, limbs are cut off. Remember, you're seeing all of these things. And I think to take it and use it and say that that's a choice, as if one day someone was presented with a better choice and they chose slavery, is irresponsible. And not just irresponsible, Charles and I, we're here because certain people lived through certain things. Like, we're here because they survived. And we owe it to them to remember that they survived because their will brought them through.
Right, and you're not, I don't think you're not holding your people back if you remember that and if you honor that.
Yeah.
And if that's something that you carry with you
So the one thing that we can question a lot of things. We can question about whether or not we need to address victimhood in communities all over the country. The one thing that we cannot and will not question, and I won't allow to be questioned, is the will of my ancestors. They had a will to survive. They were survivors. You know, they took the guts of a hog and made it taste good. They took all of these terrible situations and they came out of it as strong, unbelievably beautiful people. And Kanye West can't be allowed to impugn that.
Right.
And if he meant something different, that's fine, but he's got to take his medicine for what he said yesterday.
Okay, one of the people who spent a lot of time with Kanye West is Charlamagne the God on The Breakfast Club, and actually a long interview that he released yesterday as
Look at
well.
them walking in the
I don't know.
They get to walk in the hills.
They're
We're
walking in a
standing here
meadow
listening.
together.
Like, where are the
Sean,
where are the sheep?
Come
hey,
on, dog.
Charlamagne, where are the sheep?
Oh, that's Kanye's 300 acres that he bought out there in Calabasas or whatever it's
I
called.
hope you checked for ticks after that, man.
Hey, yo, you want to laugh? I'm gonna tell you something funny. You want to know something funny?
Yep.
You know the guy who shot that was the cinematographer for Brokeback Mountain. No, I'm dead serious. That's a fact.
I thought this guy looked familiar.
Won an Academy Award for cinematography for Brokeback Mountain. I'm serious.
Why are we laughing at that?
It's just funny because that looks like Brokeback
I'm
Mountain
trying to figure
too.
out why we're laughing at that. Okay, anyway, Charlamagne, obviously you saw what happened in the newsroom yesterday. Your reaction?
I thought it was great. I thought Van came in there with the lightsaber, and, I think that's why diversity matters, because, you need somebody in the room that's going to come in and shoot down those untruths when they're spoken about certain communities, and I'm glad that Van was there to defend it.
What do you think of Kanye?
Oh, man. I feel like a lot of people, I'm hurt, but then, I talk to Kanye a lot, so, my perspective is skewed because I feel like a lot of the things that he says, I hear in context. So, even when he goes on, TMZ and he says, slavery was a choice, even though I think that's a stupid statement. And, I told him, miscommunication is his biggest problem. He doesn't know how to communicate with people properly. I know that he was talking about psychological slavery, but in the context, it's not about what you meant to say. It's about what you actually said. And what he actually said on TMZ was stupid.
Clearly, there was a difference when you sat down with them and what we experienced yesterday.
Yeah, the biggest problem that I saw was Harvey. Harvey caused this whole situation. You know what I'm saying? Harvey is absolutely the problem. Wherever Harvey goes, it's trouble. Simple as that. Like, Harvey, this is all your fault.
I mean, honestly,
Really, a serious question. I'm not sure if that's a serious
I
answer
got
or
that
not.
in the newsroom this morning. It was like, God, what did I do wrong, Charlamagne?
I just think that I think he was more comfortable in his setting. But then again, I don't know. To me, it was just true Gemini. That was a true Gemini, if you ask me. Like, if you watch both those interviews, it's literally like he's very calm talking to me, and then he's turned up on TMZ. Like, that's the true essence of a Gemini, if you ask me.
What about his overarching point about free thought? What do you think about that? Because honestly, that's what I connect with, that free thought in this country is basically dead.
Harvey, I love free thought, but you are not a free thinker if you are aligned with one particular political party. It is impossible to be a free thinker if you're a conservative. It's impossible to be a free thinker if you're a liberal. A real free thinker is in the middle, and he's an individual. Because if you're a conservative, you're going to have conservative views. If you're a liberal, you're going to have liberal views. So how is that free thinking when you're just thinking like everybody else?
Well, but you can be a free thinker if you have a point of view, if you're willing to tolerate other people's views. And that's the problem in the country, that people
But that's
don't.
not free
They
thought,
shoot
that's
to kill.
tolerance.
Right.
Well,
no.
I mean, what? You're not allowed to have an opinion, and then you're not a free thinker? Right. Sure, you form opinions. Sure, you form opinions.
Listen, I'm all about freedom of speech. I'm about freedom of expression. I'm about freedom of thought, but it has to be real freedom of thought. The truth of the matter is, what Van said to Kanye yesterday, he's not thinking. There was no thought.
He's not informed. He doesn't know, right? So if you're going to have free thought, it has to be informed thought, and I don't think he was there yesterday.
Hey, Charlamagne, so we got to go, but if I say how much I like you, does it make you feel bad that you just blamed me for the whole thing?
Harvey, you've been causing these problems in the industry for 10 plus years now. Stop it. You know what you're doing, Harvey. Knock it off. And we're all entertained, by the way. We're all entertained.
Okay,
Yes,
Charlamagne.
we are.
You really are the best, though.
Thank you, man.
Charlamagne, thank you.
Peace.
All right, my brother. Peace.